Hi everyone, I wanted to share something that saves me quite a bit of time, and that is the motion graphics templates, and I use them a lot to do things like the lower thirds on my videos, and I use this in Premiere Pro. Now, I also do use Final Cut Pro, and I will look at doing something like that for this, but I'm just going to show you this on Premiere Pro. So basically what it does is I can very quickly from the graphics templates drop them in here into Premiere Pro and then just sometimes make some small changes to them. Now this is great for my videos that I do because it's the same every time. I don't have to go and find it in a folder or anything. It's right there, and it is over here in my graphics templates. I've got them here on my right hand side, and I can just pick them up and just drop them in, and then I can just go and make changes to them here. I'm going to show you how I do that because there's two ways you can do this. One is in Premiere Pro and the other one is using After Effects, which gives you more options. So as you can see, that's quite useful to just drop that in. Now with my clients, they've all got different branding and they've got different fonts, they've got different colors and all sorts of different styles, and maybe I add in some animation as well. And what's really useful is that I can then come over here and drop it in, and then in my properties, so this is the new version of Premiere Pro 2025, and over in the properties here, you can see I've actually got boxes where I can fill in the names. So you can have all sorts of prompts here so you can see what to put in. And as you can see, as I pop them in, it easily does that. So that's really good. And I do this as well if I come back here for my jargon-free help one. I'll just show you this. I can just pop that at the end and it comes up here. I did this in 2020, as you can see. If I go into my properties, I can easily just change this to 2024. So it can save you a lot of time. Before this, I used to go and have graphics and I would copy them from one project to another. It'll all get a bit messy and so on. But let me show you. Let me just get rid of these ones here about how I do this. So I said I can do it in Premiere Pro and I can also do it in After Effects. Maybe you've got the Creative Cloud, so you've got After Effects as well. But let me just show you here. So this one here, you'll see I've got my, if I play it, it fades up using a dissolve, and it's got my name and what I do, and then it fades down again. Now, I want to turn that into a motion graphics template, and I can do that quite easily. I can just simply right-click, export as a motion graphics template. I'd come up here as lower thirds motion graphics. I'm going to change this to my lower thirds. And I'm just going to do PP for that I created in Premiere Pro. I could have it go into the local templates folder. I'm just going to put it into the local drive. I'm going to find a folder to put it in, which is in here, the one that I've called Motion Graphic Templates. And the only difference between doing this on the Mac and Windows is just how it looks when you actually save it. So let's just select the folder. I'm going to include a video preview so I can see it as a kind of thumbnail there. And I'm going to get it to warn me if the fonts are missing, so that if I move it to another machine, I haven't got the fonts there, it'll prompt me for that. I tend to use kind of standard fonts that are readily available, but if you're doing it for a client, they might have their own and they've sent it to you, and you might have to use something else if they haven't got one they can send you. So let's just click on OK. And there it is. So what I can do is if I go to my graphics templates, that's what they call it now in the new version, up at the top here, it's got Install Motion Graphics Template. In the previous versions, it was down at the bottom in the bottom right-hand corner here. So let me just click on that. And the one that I just did was this one here, My Lower Thirds PP. Click on Open, and you'll see, there it is, right there. And I can now, it's got a little preview. So you can see as I scrub along, as I move across, it shows me a preview of it. There you go. And I can just drag that in. And there it is. So rather than having it somewhere else and having to copy it, it's right there. There's one thing about this. It hasn't, you'll see, it hasn't got the dissolve. I can go in here just so you can see I can change it, I can edit it, so I can remove that. But I could put my cross dissolves in like that. Now, if I had done this using keyframing, to do this using, say, the opacity to do the same effect, it would have remembered that. So in case you're wondering where that is, over here in my effect controls, up in my little pane here, I could have gone to opacity, I could have gone to here, click there for the opacity, changed it all the way along there, but we're not doing that in here. You're going to see me do that in After Effects, which is going to be very similar. So if you need to do it here, if you all want to see how to do that, drop me a line in the comments and I'll do a video if many of you want that. Maybe I'll do it anyway. Okay, so that's how you can do it in here. Now, let me just go to this one here. Now, I could go into After Effects and create the same thing. What I've done here is I've already created it. So what I'm going to do is kind of export it into After Effects. So some of the work's already done, like the color and the opacity. So you can see this is not quite 100% here. So it's doing some of the heavy lifting. Not that this was going to be difficult to recreate. So once I've done it, I think, hey, that looks really good. Maybe my client is going, yeah, Gary, go for it. Do more of those. I would now go into After Effects. And you're going to see there's some other useful features that come up in After Effects. So all I need to do, right-click, replace with After Effects Composition. I could have gone into File, Adobe Dynamic Link, and replace with After Effects Composition. Same thing. Let's just do that. It wants a project name. Let's call this My Captions. Oops, let's get that right. A little bit of a typo there. Hit Save. There you can see it's brought it across into here. And if I play it, there's no fading up or anything like that. I'm going to actually add that in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is double click here, right here in my timeline on that component, just double click, and it's now come up with another tab here, which is called Gary Schwartz Educator. Yeah, I'm not sure that that's such a great name. Maybe we can rename that. Let's just call this My Lower Thirds AE for After Effects. Click, done. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it to fade up, and there's a reason I want to be in this bit here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this shape layer. So I'm on 0 here. Let me just go to 1 second. Let me open up my properties here. Hopefully you've all done this before. If not, then you might have to slow this down just a bit. I'll try and slow myself down here anyway. I'm going to click here for the opacity, so that pops in a keyframe. I'm going to go back to 0. I'm going to go type in 0 here. And when I do, it automatically puts a keyframe in. Did you see that? It put that in there. I'll do that at the end. So let me just play that. Okay, so I'm going to go to 4 seconds. I do need to do a keyframe. I'm going to click here. I don't want that value to change. I want it to go all the way over to 5 seconds. Now, if I just type in 0, it's going to put the keyframe in. That will change. But just so you know, you can actually click on that and then put 0. Okay, let's play it. And that's doing it fine. And it just keeps looping. Now, I want to do the same for this one here, where it's got my name. Now, I'm going to change this all in a moment. So what I want to do is transform that as well. So let me just go to 1 second again. Let me do the opacity. I want that to stay the same. Let's go to 0 and make the opacity 0. Boom, and now you'll see they both fade up. Let's go to 4 seconds. Keyframe it. It's going to stay at that value, 100%. Let's go to here and boom, let's get that. So if I do that, now you'll see it's just going to loop through and then it's going to fade down and so on. Now, I'm going to get a little bit clever here because what I want is I want to have the name of the person and I want to have their title and be able to change either of them. So they both come up as two separate prompts. This one down here, I'm going to have the title in a slightly smaller size. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click here on there. I'm going to go to Edit. I'm going to duplicate that. So I've now got two. So let me just change it. Let's just do that one as the top one. Let's just change this. I'm just going to right click and change that to name. And this one here, I'm going to right click and change that to title. And then that will be a nice little prompt when I get back into Premiere. So there they are. I'm going to change the name here. So let me just, they're going to have to be a bit of moving around. So let's just say name, and I'm going to get rid of that educator bit there. And then on the title, which actually I've messed that up, haven't I? Let's rename it. It's no typos here. There we go. And now in this one, I just want to have, let's get rid of all of that. I'm going to put in title. I'm going to move that down. So I'm going to change the position down here, not changing anything else. I would be working this out maybe a little bit better. Over here in my properties on the right, you can see I've got properties for the title. There's the text. Let's just make this a little bit smaller. Let's maybe make it 90. So it's a tiny bit different. Okay, there we go. Nicely done. Let me just play this. Okay, so you can see maybe a little bit more work than doing it in Premiere. Okay, I've got my Essential Graphics window just here. If it's not open, go into Window, choose Essential Graphics. Let's make sure it's on. I'm going to select a composition, which is my lower thirds AE. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call this my lower thirds made in AE. Okay. There's a couple of things here. I'm going to come back to the Solo supported properties in a moment. Here is a thumbnail view of what it will look like in Premiere, which doesn't look like anything. It's just blank. I want to set that thumbnail so that when I look at it, I can see what I'm looking at, which one I'm actually choosing. Aside from the fact it will have a name there, always nice to see a graphic. So I'm going to click on Set Poster Time, and you can see it's changed it there. So what are the Solo supported properties? Well, they're properties that you could change, that are variables that you can change when you get to into Premiere. So that could be names and other settings. And when I click on that, it's going to expand it down here to show me the different ones. So you can see here I've got name, I've got source text. I'm going to pick that up and drop it here, and it's got name, and it's also got name here, which is actually the text here. So I can put in add name, okay? And it's actually changed it there as well. But a good prompt, because you can send these templates to other people who are maybe working on the same thing, or maybe want to use things that you've created, and you could send this to them, and then you've kind of got an instruction in there. You can then do the same here for the title one. So I can take that source text, drop that in here, and it's doing it in this order. If I switch them around, that's how they would appear actually in Premiere as the prompts. They would put it in the right place when I actually type it in, but you know, let's keep them in the right order. So there you have it. You've got these two here, and they will come up. And let's just put this one in here, add title, and you could have other instructions there if you wanted. Okay, let's just save that. Good idea to save it. Now I could have made a much fancier kind of animation here and stuff. Maybe you're really good at After Effects. I could do more. I'm not saying that I can't use After Effects, but for time, I just wanted to show you this. I now want to export the motion graphics template. I'm going to click on it. You'll see we did this before. I'm putting it into the local drive. It's saving it to that same folder, the Essential Video Skills 1 lower thirds. I'm going to click on OK, and it's going to call it My Lower Thirds Made in AE. Let's go back to Premiere. Let's go to Add One Human. I'm in my graphics templates. Let's just click, and I've got this one here, My Lower Thirds in AE Motion Graphics. Let's click on OK. It's popped that in there. You can see I've got a few here. I can take this, I can drop this in, and you can see it's got here, add name, add title. How do I do that? I click here. In the new version of Premiere Pro, it has got the Properties tab here, so I can just tap on that, or click on that, and it says here, add name, Gary. You'll see that I've clicked onto the next one here, the title, and then it's updated there. And let's just put this filmmaker. Sounds good, doesn't it? And then I click here and it's done. How about that? And I can just keep adding those in. I can add another one in here every time someone comes up. So you can see how easily that can be done to speed things up. Now, what if I make a change? Well, it won't affect any of the motion graphics templates that I've got. Okay, so back here in After Effects, maybe I want to add in another property. Perhaps it is this background color here. So I can scroll down. I've still got my solo supported properties there. So let me come down to the shape. I've got fill 1 here. I'm going to click and drag that up. So it's only properties that can change that are listed here. So let me just change this. I'm just going to call this background. Okay, so when I do the export motion graphics, I need to save it, click on OK. I want to replace it. It's not going to update the ones that are already there. So let's go to Premiere. It's not going to have it here. You'll see when I go to the properties, it doesn't come up here. If I go back to graphics templates, I can, just so you know, if you delete a graphics template, it still stays here. So even if you get rid of it, so maybe if it's cluttering up and you're not going to need it anymore, it won't actually get rid of it in the project. So let me go here, click on this. I've now got my one that I've just done. Going to open it. It's going to ask me to overwrite. I'm going to say yes. Now when I drop it in, I'm just dropping it in over here. And I click and then go to my properties. You can now see I can change the background color. But it won't have done it for these. It doesn't update it. So kind of maybe a good thing so that you've got the old ones there. So there you have it. That's how you can speed up how you work with your lower thirds. You can also do this with anything really. So let me just remove these from here. Okay, and let me just show you in my graphics templates. I've got the one here for jargon-free help, which is one that I do, another podcast. I pop that in there. And in the properties, you can see here, I did this back in 2020. I can easily just change that. So it doesn't have to be a lower thirds. You can use it for all sorts of things as well. It doesn't even have to be something that you're going to change. If you've set it up as a motion graphics template, which is, as I said, you can do in Premiere, and you're just using it over and over, then this is a really nice way to do it. So it saves you having to either keep it in a folder and say, let's say it's a little logo that you put in the top corner of every one of your videos that you do, then you don't have to go and find it every single time. It'll just sit there in your graphics templates. And I do all that kind of thing, and it really saves me time. When I first started doing this, aside from getting a faster computer, my clients noticed that I was turning things out much faster and much more consistently as well. If you do like this, please do like, share, and subscribe. If there's anything you would like to see, please just drop me a line, put something in the comments, and I'll see what I can do about creating it. Thanks very much, and happy filming.